Crystals. Of course. No!
But Dr. Cortex, to reach full power, we need not only your master crystal, but also the remaining 25 slave crystals from the surface. How do you expect to retrieve them when we don't have any Earthbound operatives left?
You fool! Do you think I'm unaware of the situation? If we don't have any friends left on the surface, then we'll need to find an enemy.
Crash! 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 My battery is fried. Make yourself useful, big brother, and bring an extra battery for me.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to Let's Play the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. And we're bringing back the swag walk for this. Oh, there we go. I think the Switch version's a little more finicky with the sticks. Hey, so check this out. There are a bunch of boxes here, right? Well, I'm going to make this statement right here, right now, for Crash Bandicoot 2 Insane. I am going to do my best not to break a single box, with the exception of checkpoint boxes, because, you know, checkpoint boxes are very useful. Aku, yeah, I'm not going to break those either. I mean, there are still standalone Aku masks laying around, but they are very few and far between, much like in the original game. Of course, if there's a situation where you have to break a box to continue through the game, I guess I'll make another exception there. So checkpoint boxes and boxes that are necessary to progress. This isn't really a level we're in, it's kind of like an intro segment here. And that's why I decided not to talk until after the opening cutscene, which is giving us quite an interesting start. So why don't we just swag walk into here and see what's up.
Well. If it isn't Crash Bandicoot, welcome. I apologize for the crude means used to bring you here, but I'd rather expect a written invitation would have been turned down. I need your help. Surrounding you are a series of 5 doors. Through each door lies a well-hidden crystal. The crystals look like this. Bring me the crystals, Crash. That is all I will say for now. We will speak again.
Well, that's an interesting twist. We didn't really have to collect anything in the original Crash Bandicoot, so now we actually have a goal to collect. We have to collect those crystals, because Cortex needs Crash's help, for whatever reason. Yeah, anyways, we have a different level structure for Crash 2, and this is also going to be the level structure for Crash 3, more or less. Crash 2 and Crash 3 are much more cut from the same cloth compared to the original Crash, which was largely its own thing in terms of the level progression. The closest example would probably be Donkey Kong Country, again, with the Donkey Kong Country and Crash Bandicoot similarities. But, you know, just reading these names, Crash Dash, The Pits, that's probably going to be the worst level in this set. Hang 8, that sounds pretty cool. Snow Go, and Turtle Woods. They do have numbers associated with them, but since you can do the levels in any order, unlike Crash where it was purely linear for the most part, other than the secret levels, we're going to try and just do in whatever order I feel like. And I'm going to try and do a good handful of levels per episode, just like with the original Crash. And we're also going to try to do our best to break the least amount of boxes possible. I wonder what will happen here in Turtle Woods if we decide to do that. I gotta say, I really like how in Crash 2, every time you start a level, you gotta go into here, and you have to exit the level the same way too, which is it's really cool. In the PS1 version, there's like a major sound effect that happens that sounds like a shutter door closing, and I mean like a giant shutter door, and that's not really as present here in the remake. I do miss that, honestly, for whatever reason. Don't miss the load times though. Load times on Crash 2 PS1 were quite a bit longer for that sort of thing compared to the remake. since I don't want to break any more boxes than I have to, I also, and this is the first level, so I don't really care about checkpoint boxes too much either. Check out the portals. They got upgraded too, but I think they're going to be easier to avoid somehow. Yeah, so we're going to do our best not to break any boxes. You might be wondering, well, what about those bouncy boxes that can take 5 hits before breaking completely? I guess those can be an exception. I can bounce on any of them up to 4 times. This one right here, it looks like we have to bounce on that box to even progress. Interesting. Also, new to Crash 2, Crash can slide and crouch. And also, walk while crouching. This is a new move they added in Crash 2. It's also in Crash 3 as well. And it's really the only new move you get to mess with here. And we also come into these pits and have to defeat all the moles. Oh, maybe that's what the name of the pits in that other level was referring to. Maybe we'll have to deal with a lot more of those. That would be kind of annoying. I never really liked these in the original Crash 2 because I always felt like they slowed down the gameplay a little too much. Not that I've ever struggled with any of them. You know. Ooh, shiny purple crystal. Yeah, why don't we just snag that? Alright, you see I'm doing my best to try and skip the darn pits, but it is very, very tough to time the slide jump to be able to jump over the pits. But you can also slide spin. I think you can also, like, do a slide spin and a jump or something like that. Crash 2 has some advanced tech, and hey, what's this? Blue gem? Oh, cool. Well, we didn't die in the level, so maybe we got a gem for not dying, just like in Crash 1, huh? Okay, I'll confess. You get a blue gem in Turtle Woods by clearing the level without breaking any boxes. As you can see, I didn't break a single box. But I'm going to extend this condition for the rest of the game. This isn't going to be a 100% playthrough like Crash 1, but I think I'm going to, like, in between recording sessions, I believe I'm going to go back to levels and get the gems off screen. That way, I can try and show off the secret ending, which I feel is the true ending. Oh, and let's let Crash do his dance. Why not? While I'm trying to explain stuff. Haha. Alright, let's head back to the warp room.
Well done, Crash. I knew I could rely on you. Now listen carefully. These holograms are hard to maintain. During the course of my intellectual pursuits, I have stumbled across a force that threatens to destroy the world. The crystals are the only means of containing it. The fate of the world is at stake. It is imperative, therefore, that you bring them to me.
Are you there, Crash? Crash! Crash! Are you there, Crash? There, Crash?
So that's the angle that he's trying to work with. Apparently, Cortex is trying to get Crash to work with him under the guise of, oh, the world is in danger. You like the world, right? Well, I like the world too. Why don't we set aside our differences and try to save the world together? Because the hero and the villain teaming up totally never ends in a betrayal. Oh god, no. Never. So now we've got the first snow level, not just in Crash 2, but in the series in general. Alright, so what are going to be my rulings with TNT and Nitro? Actually, Nitro is a new type of box introduced here in Crash 2, if I'm not mistaken. Nitro, well, I was going to avoid those anyway, but there's usually like a green exclamation mark box at the end of a level that you'll have to hit to automatically destroy all of the Nitro boxes in a level. That's usually how you'll get the gem for it. So keep that in mind since I won't be doing that on screen because, yeah, I'm going to try and stick to my boxless Crash 2 run. Oh boy! Almost touched that Nitro. That was definitely a close call there. As for TNT, by jumping on the TNT, I don't really think I need to hit that checkpoint. We're still early in the game, so I don't really think I need to start hitting checkpoint boxes more than I have to, you know what I mean? But anyways, yeah, TNT, you jump on them and it starts like a countdown timer, but they'll eventually explode and get destroyed. This rock pillar is really trolling me right now. There I go, there I go. Fooled you. Okay, it looks like maybe? Nope. We didn't have to break any boxes there. Still good. Thankfully, with the whole 2D sections that aren't actually 2D, you can actually do some 3D movement. A little bit. But hey, something's better than nothing. Looks like there's a little room with those rock pillars. Maybe they'll get me one of these days. I'm not going to stress too much about deaths. I usually don't die too much these days. Ooh, what is that in the corner I see? Is that a red colored gem? I wonder how we get there. Definitely can't do that, at least not here in the remake, but in the original it was possible to do a trick to get that early. But man, is it not very easy to do, let me tell you that. So we can just kind of go around the boxes. Okay, this one, I don't know. This one's looking pretty risky. God. Okay, I think I can walk around the nitro though, but it's, whoa, okay. Okay, and like I said, we're not doing bonus rooms. There's no point to do bonus rooms if I can't get any boxes. You know, that's basically like half the point of the bonus rooms. You gotta get the boxes to eventually get the clear gem, right? But again, I can just do those off screen. No big whoop. And that should make the playthrough go by a little bit quicker too. So this is what I was talking about. Now I said I wasn't going to break any boxes, but this is a metal box. So I will make an exception just to show it off. You blow it up, and as you can see, there were 18 nitros in the level. Now they're all blown up. Again, we're going to let those be the exceptions to the rule, besides the checkpoint boxes and other boxes that I may have to break to progress. Good lord, that was a close call there. Yeah, these penguins can be really weird with their movement sometimes. Alright, so there's a... oh yeah, sometimes you'll have to knock out an exclamation mark box somewhere. I think there's one on top of that bouncy crate, actually. And since it's a bouncy crate, I think I can show it off. Yep, I think I just showed it off there. So there you go, guys. That's how you unlock those two boxes here in Snowgo. For all two of you that may not have known that. And I didn't have to break any extra boxes other than that. So I guess I will break the green exclamation mark boxes just so we know how many nitros there are on a level. As well as checkpoint boxes, bouncy crates up to 4 hits, and etc, etc, etc. For the on-screen stuff. Again, I'm gonna get gems off screen because I do want to show off that ending. But as far as what you're gonna see me play through, this isn't going to be a 100% run. It's going to be a boxless run. I don't think anybody's ever done that, right? Something different.
So, you are helping Cortex gather crystals. Yet, you have acquired a gem. Interesting. Well, Crash, know this. As long as you are allied with Cortex, you are my sworn enemy, and I will do anything in my power to stop you. If the fate of the world is truly your concern, you must gather the gems, not the crystals. If you obtain all 42 gems, I can use them to focus a laser. Yes, a laser beam that will destroy Cortex and the space station he has created. Until then, I must use my forces to stop you from gathering crystals.
Okay. I mean, we didn't actually collect a gem in Snowgo. We did collect that blue gem in Turtle Woods. I've never had that happen before, since I usually get all the gems the first pass of each level, but... yeah, Embryo's all about the gems because he wants to get revenge on Cortex, for some reason. Something must have happened between the original Crash and Crash 2. I think they're supposed to be a whole year apart, which would explain the sudden appearance of Coco in the canon. But, as we've seen, she's taking advantage of Crash 3 stuff in Insane Trilogy to go back in time and play around with Crash in the past. So that's cool. Without further ado, though, let's move on to Hang 8. And the reason it's called Hang 8 because there's an expression for surfers where they say, Hang 10, dude! But since Crash has 8 fingers, well, he can only really hang 8, don't you know? But then that begs the question, why name the level Hang 8 after surfing if there's probably not going to be surfing? Hey, the aesthetics, you know what that reminds me of? The upstream levels from Crash 1. I guess we're going upstream. You're going to be jumping on leaves again and all that stuff. It's going to be fun. Okay, this... I did say Aku boxes were kind of an exception. But, again, we're still early in the game, so I don't want to, you know, wake Aku from his slumber unnecessarily, you know what I mean? Checkpoint boxes are also kind of an exception to the rule. Oh, there's a timer. So this is a jet. I don't know if it's a jet bike or a jet. It's a vehicle of some sort. By pushing the button, you dash faster. I mean, that's all you really need to know. But yeah, when the level starts, there's actually a bit of a timer going on. So we need to get to the end of the level ASAP. That platform there, you need the blue gem to access from Turtle Woods. It's a secret gem path, much like in the original Crash. There were a bunch of those. Kind of need to be in a hurry though. The hippos look really good in HD for some reason. You can really see the detail in their skin. I never knew hippo skins were so porous. Oh boy. I think we're good so far on boxes though. I don't think I broke. Yeah, 0 boxes still. That's insane. Okay, get this piranha plant and get the gem, get the gem, get the gem. Yes! Oh boy, I really wasn't expecting to speedrun that level, but I actually forgot about the timer. Oh boy, I'm gonna need a little breather after that.
Three crystals. Not bad. I see you are getting the hang of it. I need to conserve power. I will communicate with you again after you retrieve the 5th crystal.
Well, that isn't going to take very long at all. We've only got 2 more levels left in this warp room, baby. Oh, man, so do I choose between a level called The Pits, especially now that I know what's going to be there, or Crash Dash? That sounds like a fun name. Why don't we go there next? Now I wonder if I'm actually going to regret this. Oh, we have a familiar-looking camera here. Oh, we're going against the camera. What does that remind me of? Huh. Oh, God. I already know what's coming. Ah, it's the return of the boulder. Oh, my God. And this time it has snow on it. I'm not making a huge deal about it. Yep, we get more boulder levels here in Crash 2. For the people that like to. I am going to use checkpoint boxes here for obvious reasons. I find that the boulder levels in Crash 2 are definitely harder than in Crash 1. You see there's like a bunch of landmines laying around. Well, I don't know if they're called landmines if you can see them. Usually they're buried, I think. But they won't actually do damage to you. What happens is if you touch the landmine, you actually will be propelled upwards, slowing you down essentially, which does mean that the boulder is a lot more likely to catch up to you, but it doesn't damage you, which I think is a fine compromise because, hey, why does a landmine need to be the one to kill Crash and not the frickin' boulder, right? Makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The slide can help you get a little bit more distance, makes you go a little bit faster, which is, can be helpful sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. And actually, sliding and spinning keeps your momentum, so that's why it's kind of a speedrunning technique more than anything else. Which is fine, you know. You know, I did say I didn't want to do bonus rooms for the reason that I don't want to break any boxes, but I think I do need to show off at least a couple of them. But I mean, like I said, what's the point if I'm not going to get the boxes, you know what I mean? So, if you enjoyed watching me do the bonus rooms in Crash 1, I guess that's going to have to be your fill until we get to Crash 3. Even then, I don't know, because Crash 3 is not going to be 100% for the Let's Play, I can tell you that much, because 100% Crash 3 would double the length of the playthrough, and it's kind of a bit much, you know? Although I will say that the secret ending Crash 3... Did we reach the end of the level already? Dang, I really went by fast. I'm pretty sure I only broke like 3 checkpoint boxes. The boulder did most of the work. What a jerk, the boulder. But yeah, that level... You know, these levels do go by quick when you don't stress about getting every box and not stressing about the bonus rooms too. It's a nice compromise. Well, let me tell you, this level can be the pits. But it's not going to be. We see we have the return of the turtles. Oh, let's jump over the turtle. Let's try to not mess with the turtles. I'm also going to try not to wake up Aku too much. Oh god. The vultures returning from Slippery Climb of all levels? In a forest level? That is too soon. But these vultures can be pretty pesky sometimes. So you want to be careful. Especially right here. Good lord, that vulture is... probably took away most of my lives, if I'm not mistaken. At this level, I definitely want to hit the checkpoint boxes, just in case. Because the vultures can be unpredictable. Got a saw blade turtle. Interesting. So here we have a split path, which means if you want to get all the boxes in this level, you are going to have to do some back and forth to get the gem. That's something I'm glad I don't have to worry about to do this boxless run. Well, I mean, on screen, of course, but off-screen stuff shouldn't matter to the viewer, I feel. Anyway, all these armadillos look pretty cool, too. They almost look like real armadillos. Or as some people would say, armadillo, but I don't pronounce armadillo like armadillo. There's an O at the end, so it's armadillo. Arguments aside, there's a metal box there. I wonder what that unlocks. Not that I'm worried about that sort of thing. Man, 2 vultures back to back. See, this is what I'm talking about with the vulture hitboxes. Why did that kill me? Because the vulture's tail touched me? That's just ridiculous, right there. See, that was ridiculous. Like I said, the hitboxes of the vulture is very weird. Alright, so we got the crystal. Kind of annoying if you take the right path instead of the left path and you don't get the crystal. You know what I mean? Ah, the freaking turtles. Ah, we jump over the turtles. We don't want to mess with the turtles too much, man. You know, the turtles were messing me up on that bridge level back in Crash 1. Both of them, in fact. Okay. Okay, I need to try and not... Ah, man. I thought I could have made that. Oh, God. Alright, kill the moles. Just kill the freaking moles. Can't really say anything funny about the word mole. It's not... You say mole, yeah. The turtle. You can say turtle, turtle. Alright, I'm gonna try... Oh! I almost made it. It is possible to clear the pits, even in the remake. It's just the timing's a lot harder. And might partially be because Crash's jump is nerfed somewhat in Insane Trilogy. I wonder if I'm ever going to accidentally say reignite. Ah! Slipped off the pit. Of course, that happens. That can happen sometimes. Yeah, doing the boxless run means I'm not going to have anywhere near as many lives to work with. Also, I made the pit. Now I died. I lost a life so I could make the pit twice! Holy cow. So all of a sudden, I'm advocating people to lose lives. Yeah, let's not do that. Wow! I cleared all 3 pits! It's insane. I just wish I didn't have to lose so many lives to do it. 3 boxes. Wait, 3 checkpoint boxes? That has to be it. I don't think I broke any of the boxes. Gotta say, doing a boxless run is making this playthrough feel a lot more fresh than it has been in years. Pretty nice. Oh man, hey, well, at least we got the crystal, and we didn't have to destroy too many boxes. Huh, that's weird. Oh, I don't believe this portal was here before. Ripperoo! Now there's a familiar name. So yeah, this always throws me off whenever I come back to Crash 2 Insane. In the original game, what happens is that Cortex would come back on through his radio and talk to you for a little bit. And then the portal in the middle, like the platform in the middle, would take you to the boss before you head to the next warp room. But no, here in Insane, they're just like, they just show up there because what used to be there in the original game was the save load area. But now the saving and loading is brought up in the menu like here, like so. But yeah, we just walk through the portal and fight the boss. It's a little more convenient, I guess. It looks like Ripperoo has been busy in the year between Crash 1 and Crash 2. Yeah, looks like he's been studying up on some stuff. I wonder if he still has that crazy streak about him, though. Definitely seems to still like the explosives, by the looks of it. Except this time he's able to spawn TNT in the form of spaces? Like we're on a game board or something like that? That's definitely a little weird, but, well, this beats having to slowly wait for him to jump between spaces and waiting for him to, you know, run into a TNT that you jump on and whatnot. Yeah, man, his first boss fight is so slow. Like, it's ungodly slow. I'm not even exaggerating. It's just, but this one is a little bit more fast-paced, thankfully. I do like this Ripperoo fight a good bit more than the other one. I like Crash 2 a lot more than Crash 1 in general. It's always been that way. Crash 3 has always been my favorite, then Crash 2, and then Crash 1. In Insane, though, I find that the gap is a lot less, though. Like, because of the changes and additions they made to the original Crash, make it so much more in line with the other two. It does make it a better experience than what it was, and it's definitely much more comparable, all in all. Which is nice. I think this is the only safe space. Knocked out Ripperoo again. Alright, man. Still the fight can still put you on edge just because of all the explosives. But hey, what's done is done. Alright, now we can move on to the next warp room by going to the platform and the button to go up you go. We're moving on up in the world, one could argue. Ooh, nice looking portal there. This looks interesting.
I see that Ripperoo failed to prove much of a challenge yet again. But back to business. There are crystals to be gathered, 20 to be exact. The planets will align shortly, all 13 of them, and this will create a power great enough to rip the Earth apart. Properly utilized, however, the crystals can absorb and contain the energy.
Crash, is that you? I've been looking everywhere. I don't have much time to tell you this. You have to be careful. Trusting Cortex seems a little unwise, Crash. I can't keep the data path open much longer. Crash, you need to...
Well, that's weird. We just talked to Coco, and here she is over here. Huh. Yeah, it's basically the same situation like in Crash 1. You have to defeat the first boss, and then you can activate the ability to play as Coco whenever. Wow, what a timely Crash dance right there. Yeah, let's go ahead and swap to Coco. It's the funny thing though, Coco was always in Crash 2, so being able to play as her, you wouldn't think would be such a stretch, but look at the polar bear. Looks adorable. Let's jump on him a bunch of times to see what happens. Yeah, jumping on this cute little polar bear. The polar bear's name is Polar, by the way, and if you jump on him 10 times, I think, he will give you... how many lives is it going to be? 10 lives? Oh man, yeah, I really needed that because, yeah, when you're doing boxless, you don't get to get as many lives. You have to deal with what you get just from collecting the Wumpa Fruit. So what do we got here in the second warp room? We got Snow Biz, sounds like another snow level. Air Crash, I'm gonna assume that's another level like Hang 8. Barrett, which with the polar bear here, it really does make you wonder what kind of level we could be in for. Crash Crush, oh man, after Crash Dash, I don't want to know what Crash Crush could be. And the Eel Deal, nice little wordplay, and we see there's a green gem hidden in there somewhere. I wonder if I can get it without destroying any boxes. That would be sweet. So we're going to do these 2 levels, and I think that's going to finish off the first session. We're going to do these as Coco, since we've already done a snow level and an upstream level with Crash in Warp Room 1, don't you know? And for better or for worse, Snow Biz is one of those levels where you need to find like a secret, well, you don't need a secret route, but you need the red gem that we saw in Snow Go, which, as I mentioned, you need to unlock a secret route to get into it to be able to get that gem. So you need to do all that before you're able to get the gem here in Snow Biz. So doing the boxless run is fine because I wasn't going to get the gem anyway. So yeah, that's a load off of my mind. Alright. It's gonna be really familiar to the first Snow level. I think those porcupine enemies there are new. Pretty sure they weren't in the first level. Like I said, checkpoint boxes are fine for boxless. Also, if I accidentally destroy a box, like sometimes if you spin or slide into an enemy, they'll fly off and they'll destroy a box. Technically, by doing that, it would be the enemy's fault for destroying the box and not the player. So I don't think those will count towards the tally. And I will try to keep a tally. I don't know, I'll figure something out with what I'll do for every box that I hit during this boxes challenge. Okay. I don't know if I can... Alright, we're good. And bouncy boxes, you can jump on them 4 times before they'll break on the 5th bounce. So yeah, that's why those are some pretty handy exceptions during this challenge. Whoa! Hello, pretty fun slide there. I think the ice physics are a little bit different compared to how they were in the original. But even in the original, they were always really... Did that seriously count as a death? Yeah, I didn't get crushed. It just looked like I touched the pillar, and that still counted as a death. Well, it's really gonna make things a lot harder on me, I would think. But, well, if need be, I could get an Aku Aku, if need be, but why add to the box count more than necessary? And again, checkpoint boxes won't count, because I think it was the case in the original version of the Crash 1 to get the gems. I believe you could not hit the checkpoint boxes, or you could skip the checkpoint boxes and they wouldn't count, but I can't say that for sure. Don't quote me on that. You know, timing those rock pillars is going to be a real pain. Like, what am I going to have to do? Am I going to have to go on the edge or something? Yeah, I guess that's what we're going to have to do to try and bait him out, because that is really tough. Alright, and now we got... Oh god, why did there have to be Pokemon there? At least we got the checkpoint! Oh god, with the Seals of Doom! And the Icicles of Doom! Oh boy. Yeah, now I actually have to worry about dying to an extent, because I'm going to get so many game overs that I'm not going to get as many lives spammed. Yeah, Crash 1 was hard, but it was always the case that you could get lives really easily. Oh god, another situation where you can't go over the boxes. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can maybe crouch jump. Oh god, barely was able to jump over that. Good lord. And that was some skillful dodging of those icicles too, let me tell you that. Skip the bonus room, thankfully. Not that you have to worry about dying in a bonus room of all things, because if you die in a bonus room, you just get sent back to where the bonus room was. So that's... it's a load off my mind. Alright. Knock this out. The rolling wheels return from Jungle Rollers in the original Crash. What an interesting level trope to bring them back in. So the forest levels are probably new forests, and the snow levels are the forest levels from Crash 1 after the fact. That would be a pretty interesting bit of continuity. But yeah, as I said, even if I was going for all the boxes, I would have to have the red gem anyway. So that was just a good bit harder than Snow Go. Definitely a good bit harder. That was a pretty decent challenge, actually. Now, I'm a little surprised here, because normally when it comes to levels in the first two Crash games, there are some levels you can't play as Coco. In Crash 1, the hog ride levels and the boss levels you couldn't do with Coco. I figured since this was a vehicle level in a sense with the water bike, I guess that's what we're going to call it, a water bike. It's not really a water motorcycle, I don't think. That seems weird. Or a water board or something like that, since it's based on surfers, maybe. I don't know. But the interesting thing about Air Crash is that there is a secret exit. It's actually right over there. You see that lone rock platform over there? You need to jump on the boxes to get to it. But this is technically a boxless run, so I do want to at least point attention to it right over here. So yeah, you need to jump over there, and that's a secret exit that will take you to a fancy secret warp room. Ah man, well, that's the first box death of the project right there. It seemed like it was on the edge though, so probably couldn't be helped. But hey, 7 levels in, and we've only went out of our way to get one box. I mean, that's not bad. Definitely could be worse. Timing these platforms, bonus room. I didn't have time to talk about it in Hang 8 because I had to rush for that race, but the water bike levels have some of my favorite music tracks in Crash 2. There's going to be one more, and I think that one actually has another race in it as well. That's a death route. If you do the death route, you'll get a gem. And I think there's an exit here, so... but I need the crystal. Did I get the crystal? Okay. Well, guess I'll go through the death route, you know? Take a different way to the exit, why not? Not have to deal with as much... Well, actually, there is a water bike section in the death route, for sure. Alright, so death routes are usually harder, obviously, than the main route. You need to go through the level without dying to unlock the platform to do this. So, yeah, there weren't death routes in the original Crash. They kind of did a compromise by just having harder levels in general. And I guess you could argue that with the remake, the levels where you need to beat them without dying to get the color gem kind of serve as a middle ground for that sort of thing, I guess you could say. These mines are a real pain to deal with. Alright, should be the end of the level right here, dealing with hippos, and yeah, that might have been faster to do it that way. But, here's a fun fact, if you die, you can get back on the main route. But since we're doing boxless, there's no point. I'm not going to get a gem for it, so I guess this is going to end it. Oh boy, so in Crash 1, for all these animal riding levels, well, the one that I did, I chose to be silent for the level because of how good the music was and because of the concentration required. I'm going to make an exception here. You gotta love how Crash raises his eyebrows. So, jump, and then A does a dash, right? Okay, it's been a minute. You didn't have a dash with the Warthog in Crash 1. And this is still boxless, and with this type of level, it's a lot easier to hit the boxes if you're not careful. So, but again, checkpoints are thankfully an exception to the rule. It's also very easy to die in these levels too. So, I don't know if avoiding the boxes will increase or reduce my chances of dying. Oh boy, and I think bouncy crates are instantly destroyed in the polar bear levels too. So, extra caution would be nice. Oh boy, avoiding the nitros as well. Don't need to hit those. That's one box. One box. I don't know if I could have avoided it, but we're gonna count it anyway. I think that's only 2 though, after what happened in Air Crash. That was some weird stuff in Air. How did I avoid diving into the water there? I don't know how I did it. I don't know why that counted as a hit either, but hey, it's just what we gotta deal with. Oh man, I don't want to have to deal with the freaking nitro. Alright, I did a charge that time. I learned my lesson that time. I'm not gonna run into the statue there either. I learned my lesson there. Oh boy. Normally those 3 boxes right there are pretty hard to get all in succession, but since I'm doing my best to avoid boxes, it works out nicely. 10 boxes? Wait, how did... Oh, because there were some boxes that exploded on their own. Yeah. Wow, that's nearly half of the boxes in the level are apparently explosive. I only hit 1, not counting checkpoints, so not a bad start, and I'm not going to disappoint people by not talking over the polar bear levels, because there's a lot more of them than there are to the hot. Cool. Alright, so we got 2 levels left in Warp Room 2. There's Crash Crush, and there's the Eel Deal. We did a new level, sort of with Barrett. Crash Crush is another boulder level. We already did one with Crash, so let's go ahead and do one with Coco. Why not? So technically, I guess this level would actually be called Coco Crush instead of Crash Crush. Crash Crush is... Oh man, that's a tongue twister if you're not careful. Coco Crush sounds like a flavor of hot cocoa, which I can't even begin to imagine what ingredients would constitute the crush in, you know, Coco Crush in that context. Much like with the first boulder level, you gotta watch out for landmines, as you see here. You get hit, you don't, I mean, if you touch a landmine, you don't lose HP, in a sense. You don't lose a hit. You also gotta deal with electric fences. You gotta slide under those. You can mess with the landmines all you want when you're not worrying about the boulders coming after you, so that's pretty nice. But yeah, just like in the original Crash, there's only two boulder chasing levels. You need to backtrack through there to get boxes if you're going for the gem, but we're going for boxless, so you don't have to worry about that. Can I make it? Ah! Darn it! I don't know if it's possible to do that, but I'm still going to count it. I think that's only 3 boxes. I only hit 1, not counting checkpoints or explosives in the first episode. But this episode, oh, we're already off to a rough start. Gotta slide under the electric fence right after the boulder spawns. That is the worst possible time to have something slow you down for a little bit. Thankfully, there's a speed boost there. Yeah, this is the one that has speed boosting. You know, after I don't know how many boulder levels already, we finally get some sort of speed booster. It helps, better late than never. But yeah, you still gotta worry about avoiding pits. So the speed boost can help, but they can also hurt if you're not careful. But usually they help. They help you stay ahead of the boulder. I believe this is also the level where you need to be so ahead of the boulder it's not even funny, because you have to destroy a bunch of metal crates by body slamming. Oh yeah, that's something I forgot to mention in the first part. Jump and hit the circle button, and you do a body slam. I didn't really feel it was relevant to bring up, but I guess bringing it up now is a good idea, because yeah. I think this is the part. Keep an eye towards the end. I think there's going to be 3 metal crates. You have to destroy all of them with your body slam. I don't think the boulder will get them for some reason. I don't know why it's like that, but better safe than sorry. And as a result, I think that box was unavoidable, but I'm still going to count it. Gosh darn it. And I slid over that pit. Oh, man. Oh, boy. A lot of close calls so far, I have to say. Gotta be very careful here. Gotta avoid the boxes like they're poison. Okay, there you go. There's only one box. Only one metal box you have to destroy. It's not bad. Alright, 25 out of 57. Roughly a little over a third. But I hit 2 or 3 boxes. Oh man, Crash Crush crushed my challenge in a way, I guess. But we're still trucking on. It wouldn't be a video game without an obligatory sewer level, right? Seriously, in the comments, I'm going to challenge all of you to do your own challenge while I'm doing my boxless challenge. Post for this episode only, post in the comments a list of 5 video games that you have played that you know for a fact does not have a sewer level of some sort. And yeah, I will let you do that, and I will be paying attention to that. That's going to be your challenge. My challenge, though, is to continue avoiding boxes. The green gem is here. It's hidden somewhere in this level. I sort of remember where it is, because I played this game so many times, but it has been a minute since my last playthrough. Oh, I forgot to mention, this is a boxless run, or minimal box run, but the enemies don't apply to that. You can kill enemies all you want. This isn't a pacifist run. God forbid, could you imagine if this was boxless, or minimal box, and pacifist? Good lord, we'd have some problems. Wow, I hit that enemy, and I'm surprised but thankful I didn't hit those 2 boxes. Ooh, this room looks suspicious. Hey, look at that box being protected by nitro. It's a good thing I'm not going for boxes. Seems ultimately pointless. So we go through here. Oh, what? Is that a glitch? Huh. I guess they forgot to program collision. And maybe this is like an unused corridor or something? Yeah, I don't know what the story is with this, but this is actually a secret route that takes you to the green gem. It should be coming up here shortly. Right? Pretty sure it's at the end of this tunnel. And you could die to go back to the main path a lot quicker. I might do that, but because of the whole minimal box, I'm not getting lives as much as I usually do. So I kind of want to conserve the lives that I got from Polar during the last episode, you know. I don't want to have to make another deal with another furry animal, like, I don't know, in the next game or something, to keep all the extra lives I earned, you know. I need every life I can get to do this minimal box run. Oh god! I died there anyway. Well, it is what it is. I still got double-digit lives, so I think we're still in pretty good shape. If you get a gem and die, you keep the gem as long as you don't exit the level. So that should be good for all of you to know! Ah, darn it. Got hit by the darn washing machine. I did say that Aku Aku boxes were not going to count towards the total because of, you know, some of these levels might actually need some Aku Aku help. But I'm still not going to use them more than I have to. Same with the checkpoint boxes, which I pretty much have to use now that we're getting into the harder parts of the game. Arguably, the first warp room is the only warp room with quote-unquote easy levels. Good lord, I don't know what happened there. I didn't jump high enough, I guess. So yeah, even though Crash 2 is easier to get 100% on compared to Crash 1 in general, this is not an easy game. Don't get the impression. In fact, depending on who you ask, I think some people might consider this harder than the original Crash, if doing any percent. And I can definitely see the argument for any percent. Definitely not for 100% or anything like that. Finally, a checkpoint box. Good lord. Jump on the rats. You know, those metallic rats remind me of Rat Trap from Transformers Beast Wars back in the day. And yeah, you have to go out of your way for the crystal again. I hate it when that happens. There have been times in my playthroughs where I would go through a level and I missed a crystal. Usually doesn't happen since I'm usually going for 100%. But there was one time I did the level The Pits, and because I wasn't going for everything, I actually missed the crystal because it was on one of the side paths instead of the main path. So I'm not going to keep track of it really, but if people watching keep track of all my on-screen deaths here in Crash 2, and compared to Crash 1, I wonder if I'm actually going to wind up having more deaths in Crash 2 compared to Crash 1. Could partially be because of the whole boxless thing, but I don't know why that would actually cause more other than me having less lives, but it shouldn't cause more deaths. I'll tell you though, with all this collision detection, it's probably going to be the end of me, because yeah, the collision detection can be pretty weird sometimes, in general. This was true in the original PS1 games, too, with the collision detection. Sometimes it could be wonky. I don't really notice it too much, usually. Unless it's an enemy that has, like, extra stuff to it, like those metal rats with the extra spikes and whatnot. You know. Alright, so jump on the rats. But yeah, the rats remind me of Rat Trap from Beast Wars. That was always one of my favorite Transformers toys, because it had the tail, and the tail was like, you could move it and position it and whatnot. It was like articulate. I think this is the green Nitrobots. Yes, it is. It seems like it's been a while since we've hit one of those. So here's where we're introduced to a hanging grate section. And hey, be thankful that you can go through these pretty quickly, because they bring this back in Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex, and for some reason Crash goes through them really slowly. Even though, as you can see, he goes through them pretty quick here in Crash 2. So it does make you wonder why he goes so slow in Wrath of Cortex. What the logic was for slowing down Crash's movement on the hanging grates was. Because I don't understand the logic myself. So we didn't hit too many boxes. I died a lot of times. I really didn't want to do that. But, well, at least we're done with Warp Room 2 for now. We just got the boss to deal with. I believe, oh.
10 of 25 crystals. You're on your way. I'm running low on power, so communication from this point will be difficult. Remember, I'm counting on you.
Oh, Komodo Brothers. Oh, this sounds like a new boss that we got to deal with, huh? Just like with Crash 1, you cannot play as Coco for the bosses, which makes sense, I suppose. So, let's just swag walk right in here and see what we're going to be up against. Oh, cool! Freaking Komodo Dragon guys. Oh, man. Here's a fun fact for you. The skinny one is Komodo Joe, and the fat one's Komodo Mo. Komodo Joe is actually, well, he used to be one of my mains in Crash Team Racing, which is the racing game spin-off that actually made by the same guys that made the original trilogy back on the PS1. And then they remade Crash Team Racing. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it one way or the other. And yeah, that's like one of my... I'm not a huge racing game fan. I'm going to say that right here and now. I'm far from being an expert on the subject. If you want to ask someone that might be more of an expert on the subject, you can ask my friend Mark. I'm not going to say much more than that, but yeah. He's always been more into racing games than me, but there are some racing games I've played that I've had a lot of fun with. Mario Kart, specifically Mario Kart Double Dash. I have to specify one particular Mario Kart game. I've also had a lot of fun with other ones, but Crash Team Racing is a really fun racing game. Probably my favorite racing game of all time. Komodo Brothers, they're pretty cool though. Pretty cool designs. I like them, but their boss fight's really simple. Yeah, here we go into Warp Room 3. It's looking very wet. Actually, the aesthetic is more like the sewer level we just did, and the Warp Room 2 had the snow level aesthetic, and the first Warp Room had the forest/ruin level aesthetic. Yeah, pretty interesting consistency there.
Good show, Crash. The Komodo brothers obviously lacked your mettle. But now's not the time to get cocky. There are still many crystals to obtain. Remember, the world is counting on you.
Alright, so, Warp Room 3, what do we got here for our serving? Well, we've got a level called Plant Food. Now, just from looking at the name, you're not going to assume this, but this is actually the third and final water bike level. We're going to do that one next. You see there's a yellow gem to collect. There's Sewer later, the second sewer level. Probably going to do that this episode as well. Bear down, I have to do it because of contractual obligations made. Road to Ruin, I think we're going to save that one for the next episode. And we're going to finish off this part with Unbearable. Gee, I wonder if it's a bear-related level. Yeah, it's kind of, you think it's kind of weird to have two bear levels almost back-to-back in the same warp room. Kind of makes you wonder why they would do that. It's kind of weird. Let me do that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and do Plant Food. I think we did Air Crash with Coco, so we're going to alternate back to Crash. So, yeah, let's just dive right into it. I gotta jump in there, Jesus. Alright, so this level's like Hang 8, where a timer is going to start ticking down from the time you start the level until the time the timer ends, unfortunately. So, from the time you start until you get to the first checkpoint is when the timer will finally spawn. I don't know why it takes until then to do it. The timing is a lot tighter in this level compared to Hang 8. You also got to worry about the plants. And as I said, I'm trying to avoid boxes here, but there's a reason I've said like checkpoint boxes are okay, that they don't count for obvious reasons. And same with the Aku Akus. I've been trying to avoid those as much as I can, but in this level, that ain't gonna cut it, Chief, because you're gonna need all the Aku Akus you can to take damage from enemies later in the level in order to make it to the end on time, because there's some situations where it takes time to defeat the enemies, and that's time you don't have, unfortunately. So, I mean, there's a reason they call this level plant food, because you're gonna be plant food if you're not careful. And in some cases it's unavoidable, like there with that box. I couldn't really avoid that, or I would have gotten hit by the plant. Avoid that plant and that plant. Alright, good shape there. That plant's a lot harder to dodge than it looks. We gotta keep going, you gotta spam the acceleration button, avoid the plants as much as you can, take advantage of invincibility frames and whatnot. I don't know if I usually avoid that plant, but that was pretty close. We got the nitro, get the box, and 5 seconds. Oh, thank Jesus. God, made it to the end. But I lost a lot of lives, let me tell you. I don't know what try that was, but we finally did it. Ugh. Alright, shake it off. Shake it off. Hey, at least now we finally have Aku Aku after all this time. I mean, yeah, I've been trying to avoid him up until now, but hey, we finally get to see Aku Aku for the first time since Crash 1. It's been a minute. Yeah, it definitely has been a minute. Alright, so second sewer level. So we're going to swap to Coco since this is the second time we're doing this type of level. Sadly, she cannot participate in the Polar Bear levels, but yeah, with Aku Aku in hand, I'm hoping I won't have to die as much here. Alright, so in order to get everything in sewer later, I think you need to get both clear gems here. There's 2 of them. In order to get everything, you do need the yellow gem from plant food. So I guess it's pretty convenient that they put plant food right before this level, even though you can do the 5 levels in the order. We got a new enemy here, Flamethrower Scientist. I don't know if that's actually what he's called, but that's basically what he is. He is a scientist that uses a flamethrower, so it is what it is there. I'm still trying to avoid boxes. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, plant food kind of shook me up, so I might actually wind up hitting a box just because I forgot for a split second that this is a minimal box run. And that platform sunk into the water. Totally gonna throw off my groove with the electric water. So yeah, the sewer levels are a good bit harder. And you know what? I think plant food has set a precedent. We're gonna get Aku Akus now whenever I can, because gotta cut down on the deaths somehow, right? Because this is gonna get crazy otherwise. But yeah, in plant food, I had to focus on the race, but in plant food, you really do have to take advantage of the Aku Akus to make it to the end in time. There's just no other way, because the plants will bite at you while you're in the water. And even if you do a boost, they will usually still be able to reach you. It's really annoying how that level is structured on. And here's a section where you have to spin an enemy into the fan blades. I don't know if it was technically possible to do this with the other fan blades we had to deal with in the previous level and earlier in this level, but you gotta do it here. It's like I said, there's a reason that I'm not counting Aku Aku or checkpoints or nitro, because, I mean, in a lot of cases, it's pretty much unavoidable. That said, if I were to get a triple Aku Aku, since that, that will destroy boxes if you come in close proximity, that would be the very definition of a double-edged sword. Okay, this one, I think this is one of those situations where it's unavoidable, sadly. I don't know how many boxes that was exactly. I did say that TNT aren't going to count, same as the Nitro. I think I said that. I don't know. Those boxes are okay. One of these paths leads to the crystal and the other doesn't. I'm trying to figure out which is which. I don't know why they do the split path thing again in another sewer level. It's very repetitive. Okay, that looks like the exit, so we're going to need to head back and go to the other way to get the crystal. I guess that's a recurring theme of the sewer level, is that you gotta get the crystal, you gotta go out of your way to get the crystal. Oh god, freaking flamethrower scientists, they're a lot further than they look. A lot of the time. Alright, we got him that time. It'd be funny if we left the level the same way we came in terms of the Aku status. Oh, there's another one right there. So I can get that. Fine. I probably should have made an exception for extra life boxes because, good lord, my lives count just keeps going down. Yeah, I can definitely see the argument for Crash 2 being a harder game if you're doing any percent because, you know, without the whole, in the original Crash version of Crash 1, without the whole not being able to die and having to get all the boxes in one run, that really is kind of a game changer compared to just going through Crash 2 normally, you know what I mean? Alright, we came in with regular Arc and we're leaving with the gold. Don't think I died, so that's good, but I had to deal with that wall of boxes, unfortunately. Oh boy. Well, good thing there's metal boxes, right?
Crash, thank goodness! I hacked into Cortex's computer and found detailed schematics for an improved Cortex Vortex and a suspicious-looking space station. I'm not sure, but Cortex might be trying to...
Don't you just love time paradoxes like that? They find the right timing to have Crash swap back in just for the exchange with Coco. But there's another Coco! Because yes, even though Coco was always in Crash 2, the Coco you play as is the one from Crash 3. Woo, nice little breakdance animation there. I wonder if I'm going to accidentally show off all of the idle animations for Crash throughout this project. Alright, so we got 2 levels left for this part, and then next time we're going to do the rest of this most likely. We got Bear Down and Unbearable. We're going to save Unbearable for last. So let's head back into Polar Territory. All in all, I would say the Polar Bear levels are a huge improvement over the Warthog levels. Oh god, I think that's an unavoidable wall of boxes. Oh no! Yeah, you don't have any control of Polar during that first roll, so those first 4 boxes are mandatory. Maybe those can be excluded, since there's no way otherwise. It's part of the just part of the process of the opening of the level, so I guess those will be an exception to the rule. I don't know how much that's going to help, because I've already hit into a lot of boxes thus far. So, yeah. I mean, normally, to get all the boxes in the Polar Bear levels, it's usually hard. But trying to avoid the boxes is kind of its own challenge, funnily enough. You know, there's a lot of videos on YouTube of people trying to do, like, Mario games without getting any coins. Which I find to be interesting because, my god, there's usually so many coins to collect in Mario games. That's such a task. Just seems near impossible, you know what I mean? So, I am kind of inspired by those when I decided to do a boxless run, or minimal box run of Crash 2, but also to spice things up, because I already knew this wasn't really going to be a 100% playthrough, because that would have made the pacing a lot slower, I feel. And there's certain levels that trying to get 100% in Crash 2 is definitely harder than in Crash 1. There's a level that's going to be coming up in the 4th warp room that's like that, and I'm going to be sure to talk about it, even as I'm just doing an any percent run of it, which I have never done in my life until this Let's Play, I guess. Alright, we're at the end of the level. Only 1 death. For a Polar Bear level, I consider only 1 death to be really freaking good. So normally I would go and get the gem, but there's no gem there. But there is a secret exit, and I'm going to show it off because it doesn't require me to break any boxes. You gotta stand on these platforms, and then go over here, and here's a secret exit. Bada bing, bada boom. So this secret exit, funnily enough, takes you to Air Crash, which is a level that has another secret exit. Isn't it funny how that works out? You need to go through the secret exit, or the secret route of Air Crash, in order to get all the boxes to get the main clear gem. We got the Death Route clear gem, but to get the main clear gem, you have to go through the secret route, and then beat the level normally from there. So, I'm not going to show that off. In Insane Trilogy, the remakes, in Crash 2, when you unlock the secret warp room and the secret levels, you have permanent access. You can see there's the secret route for Snow Go, there's a secret route for Road to Ruin, which is the first level we're going to be doing in the next episode. There's a level called Totally Bear, and then there's a level called Totally Fly. Huh. interesting that in here you get spoiled on all that. But as you can see, you can head back to the main platform and go up, and you'll be at the first warp room. And you can always head back down in Insane Trilogy Crash 2. PS1 Crash 2, unfortunately, as far as I know, once you unlock the secret warp room, if you leave, for whatever reason, you're not going to be able to go back unless you take the same secret exit. So that's a much appreciated change, I guess, and beneficial for me in trying to do this minimal box run. But we've done Bear Down. All that's left is for this episode anyway, is Unbearable. And, I'm going to try and do this with Coco. But it turns out, nope, you just get Crash Block. Gotta place Crash this level. So this is totally going to be the third Polar Bear level, right? Because, Crash jumped in to take over for Coco, which means it's a Polar level because so far it's the only level where Coco, you can't play as her besides the bosses, right? So why are we going against the camera? Oh boy! That's what they mean by a Polar Bear level. Alright, so here's an interesting fusion that they're doing for the third boulder level. You're not running from a boulder this time around. You're actually running away from a giant, very aggressive polar bear. And there's also lizards you got to worry about on the way back too. I think they're trying to run away from the polar bear too. But if you touch the lizards, they hurt. They sting. You could say like a chameleon sting, I guess you could say. But yeah, the bear. I think the bear is a little bit faster than the boulder. I could be mistaken. Just a tad though, because if it was a lot faster, then we'd be having some problems here. But you still got to worry about landmines, possibly even more so, because if they slow you down in Unbearable, oh boy, that polar bear is going to get you. Those lizards will get you too. So you got to be careful. Thankfully, long bridges, not very good for the opposition. We're going to hit this checkpoint. If you jump down here, there will be a secret route that's necessary in order to get the clear gem on this level. I mentioned that, and then we're going to keep going to move forward. Hey, there's the crystal. I'm glad we didn't have to go out of our way to get it this time around. Avoid the bonus room. We'll do a little loop-de-loop, because why not? Hit the nitro, because again, those are kosher for the minimal box run. Alright, hit the checkpoint. Again, kosher. Ooh, I wonder how many polar bears we're going to have to avoid in this level, huh? And yeah, the secret route in Unbearable that I was talking about earlier, it's pretty hard. Even though you don't have to worry about the polar bear chasing after you. I named that lizard Gex, because I sure did get Gexed just there. Oh boy. But yeah, the secret route in Unbearable is pretty hard. I would say it's like a death route, even though it isn't technically a death route. You don't access it in the same way as you would a death route, but it kind of has the death route vibe. It has different music, so it's definitely not a bonus room. It definitely doesn't have that vibe, I can tell you that much. But here we are at the end. Oh boy, hey Polar! What are we doing? Oh boy! So yeah, this is a literal fusion. We gotta do a polar bear level in reverse to avoid the giant polar bear. Obviously they're gonna be gentle with the level design as much as they can, so you don't get caught off guard by the electric fences, and that's it. It's over. Oh man, that was quick and painless, right? Alright, so normally I would head forward here and I would get the gem, but we're not worried about that. Let's head back, because I want to check on Polar. We did have that contractual obligation of sorts. Backtracking here is pretty tough. That pit is really hard to jump. Oh, hey, Polar. Let's go check on him. Maybe I can get some more lives. Or this could happen. So here's a surprise for you all. There's a secret route in Unbearable that takes you, it unlocks Totally Bear. Now, this is a wholly unique level, but when I did the Let's Play for Crash 1, I didn't show off the secret levels there. So it would be inconsistent for me to show off the levels in Crash 2 and Crash 3, sadly. But I'm just going to tell you this, Totally Bear is just another polar bear level like Bear It and Bear Down. Not like Unbearable, thankfully. That's a one and done. It's one of my favorite levels, though, because of the concept. And I think they did nerf it just a tad in terms of the difficulty, which is good. But even though this level isn't very long or hard, well, it's the hardest of the 3 regular Polar levels. But it's just those levels, but in the dark, even though it doesn't really imply it. And the lighting changes they make in Insane Trilogy make it a lot more tolerable. More tolerable kind of darkness level than it was in the PS1 version, where because of the technology, it was either pitch black or not really much at all. So if you do want to see me do the secret levels in Crash 1, 2, and 3, look up my 100% speed plays here on Loose Goose. But for the sake of pacing, we're just going to leave it there. But as I said, it'll always be accessible for you in Insane Trilogy, not the original. Sad to say, really, because, you know, it makes doing the 100% in PS1 Crash 2 a little bit more problematic. I never really had a problem with it, but it's good that they addressed that minor issue. Very good. Alright, so we've only got one level left here in the third workroom. As I said, we've done all of the polo levels, so my contractual obligation is fulfilled. We're going to end this part. It's been fun, guys. Next time, we're going to finish business off here, and we're going to go to the fourth workroom, which has some of the most infamous levels in Crash 2. So look forward to that, and take care.